was in the Chinese factory called the Great Steel Factory.
I used to work with a Chinese company called China Steel Uganda Limited.
Nkoledde abachina ebbanga lya myaka 4 ngenda mu mwaka gwa 5. Company bagiyita Great Steel.
By then it was called China Steel. Then after they changed their names to China Great Steel.
I was working with China Construction Communication Company. I've worked for them for 11 years, since 2008.
By me working with them, I got a lot of things that are both good and bad.
They underpay people. Secondly, they also have that issue of kicking and harassing people. And they have so many other things that they do. They have language barrier, and they want people to work the way they, in their place, I think there's no, they are not regulated properly.
You know, Chinese, what I discovered is Chinese, they have one thing in Uganda today. They don't follow the procedures or the rules that are being laid down by the government. Maybe if you have a worker, you have to sign a contract with him. Maybe I'm Silver, I'm signing with the China Great Steel. I'll be working with them for maybe 2 years, maybe as an engineer or as an operation manager or something. Or even if a casual worker. You see, at least you sign a contract. Then if not that, there's this whereby every worker is entitled to register with NSSF or pay as you earn. See, each worker is entitled to a national, maybe a work ID. Sorry to say, maybe I call it a national, but a work ID and protective gears.
We had the gambut, but the overall no.
In this steel company, we receive variety of, we call it scrap. That's, let me call them raw materials for producing these steel bars, whereby in these raw materials we meet a lot of things, in which this scrap, there were bombs. Because I remember one day, we found a grenade. We had to call a bomb squad. They come and detonated that from there, near the company. There are guns, machine guns found there. There are very many stuffs, dangerous things found there.
A lot of water accident in that water factory. And sometime back, that very year, and when I was in the village, somebody was what? Somebody died there.
You know these shock absorbers for cars and motorcycles, they're also dangerous. So during the process of smelting, something had to burst from that. It hit him in the head, he died on spot.
What I heard, they encouraged some colleagues to push that body outside. And they say that this may be a vehicle knocked over or what.
After carrying this dead body to the weighing bridge, they're like, no. They had to tell the interpreter. By then I remember the interpreter was called Philip. Can you tell this boy to carry this body, take it outside of our company? So that in case police comes, they deny maybe the boy got an accident from outside the company, he's not the worker, you see?
Waliwo omwana ekyuma kyamutemako engalo enjala zino ennya zino nasigaza kino, naye ali awo ali mu mbeera yakweyiiya, embeera si nnungi.
Nali ndina waliwo rollers bazita rollers zikola emitayimbwa. Olunaku lumu nali ndi mu kutereeza rollers ezo manzi gwali omulimu gwange. Nali nsumulula ku glove kwaliko kintu kyayikyuyiriseko mashini yakikwata n'ekisika nenjagala okwesika glove at least kyo kigende omukono gusigale ne mashini yasika n'ekiglove n'ekitwalirako omukono ne bagulya kone mashini ezinyiganya n'ezikoya. Bwe kyatuukawo nabeera awo bwe batuuka banoonya ntambula okuntwala mu ddwaliro. Waliwo emotoka ya scrap yali awo, musajja n'agamba zikamutaase mutwale mu ddwaliro. N'antwala awo Matugga kalwali akali awo. Natuuka awo omusawo n'angoba n'agamba omukono ngalo mashini ezinyuzi zigoyeza yeta kutwalira mu ddwaliro eddene. ne bantwala eyo case clinic town. Bwe bantuuse eyo musawo bazadde bange ne bajja. Nakubira bazadde bange essimu ali mu ddwaliro ne bajja. Bwe bajja musawo n'agambye nga sigaddeko byonna tebikyalina mugaso birina kuvaako buviera lumu. Musawo ne mugamba munnaawe ndaba nga nkyasobola ozikozesa nanga munaye tekisoboka ekigo kyazaagane tekikola tekikyasoboka zaavuddeko.
There's a boy called Omaido. Omaido was also doing the same smelting. So this smelt iron that spark fell on him. It burnt him seriously.
As I was removing that metal, the friend was behind, who was also working on on that department. He switched the switch. Now, as I was getting out, I felt the fire and burning me from the buttocks up the legs. So there, I had to make an alarm. People came and they first removed the gum on the first leg, then the one they last removed. The gum had already melted.
Omukozi ne waafa tebakitwala ng'ekikulu.
I took almost one month and a week. When I was on the bed, I could not get up, until they treated and it got somehow. There they discharged me. I went in the village because there was no continuous job.
It's only after me and my friends coming up like trying to complain, that's when they got maybe ashamed. They started running to the hospital, maybe throwing some little money at the hospital, but they eventually paid the hospital bills. After paying the hospital bills, the boy was like, he was not going to be compensated.
Zinagenda nenfuna injale okugulu nemala emyezi 4 nga sikola nga ntambulira ku miggo, naye kye bakola ekyamaanyi namala omwezi gumu nga kale bampayo $15,000 ate omala kusika muguwa nabo. Sigamba nti oba balumirwa nti kiva ku ntobo y'omutima gwabwe.
I suffered. The thing again continued. I suffered, so I was like, let me go back there to see these people, because they had promised me when I was in the hospital that they were going to pay me from insurance company. So I came back this way. Again, it was a war to get some help, some assistance from those Chinese. It was a war. I battled.
The Compensation Act states that people who have been injured at work should be compensated after they have been treated. So the employer is responsible for treating the person who was injured at the job until he has cured from the accident. And it is only after that's when we can bring in compensation.
He was not going to be compensated, so the boy was maybe a bit tricky. He had to find a lawyer. After getting a lawyer, that's when they felt a bit ashamed. After feeling a bit ashamed, they had to sit down with the lawyer. They paid the boy $2 million. The lawyer almost took halfway, and maybe the boy took $1 million, you see. And from that, the job was gone. Immediately after getting money from them, you're no longer their worker. And there's no way you can claim.
After the accident, it took me 2 years to resume working.
Sente zebampa ezo zebampa kale okusookera ddala nga nakatuuka mu ddwaliro ezo ennaku ze namalayo ennaku 3 bo be basasula ezo ennaku 3 kati ezo ennaku 3 ze namalayo bo be basasula then zinza okuddangayo okugula ddagala biki kuba ddagala limu baali mpanikiranga mu busete eryo ne baali mpanika nenzijeno mu lundi zeno nendigula ezo natandikanga okukozesa kati zize basasulayo eri mwezi ennaku 3 zinamalayo zose zisaamanya ezo kati sente zebampa ezikesanga zibeera nga nomukono gena guwonera ddala kati bwe nayagala okuddayo bo ne baleeta looya waabwe baleeta looya naffe twagala okufunayo lawyer tukole ki baba ngamba mbu yeetagisa kwanze naye sibimanyi kati lawyer bwenagezako omuyitiramu yansaba ebintu byali 3 ninga sibiina yansaba gundi gwe badde bansasulira ssente ez'omwezi ez'omusaala nga sigiina ne bansaba gundi gwe nafunira omulimu naye nga sigiina nangamba yete ekintu kyonna kyonna ekiraga nemugamba ng'ogyeko ndowooza okugambe nga siina nako kalaga konna nga siina kintu kyonna kiraga kyonna nti enkola nabo okuggyako jaketi yokka nibagamba kati tugenda kolota nibagamba teri muntu aliyo ng'alina ekintu kyonna ekiraga bonna bwe batyo bwe bali nibagamba naye tugenda ku factory netubuuza buli muntu yenna tewali ayina nibagamba at least company eyo yamaanyi eyinza eteeka okuba nga ebadde mu insurance tugende tukole ekitubuliize tulabe lawyer bwe yadda yangamba tewaliwo ekyo tekisoboka yangamba tewaliwo na bujulizi ebintu nebikomaawo kati nangamba kati nemunyonyolamu nti baali bankola kibi kibansainingisa olupapula ndi batuwa sente z'eddwaliro biki kati nagenda oleeta olupapula nangamba oledi mama naddo sayininga nti bamaze okusasulira obulamu bwo bwonna.
You see, you are maybe the only thing they can give you maybe first aid. Maybe you are hit by heavy metal, you're given first aid. Immediately you leave the camp and that day you go back home. The next day you're not their worker. They even tell the gate man, of which they are soldiers, if that boy comes here, don't allow him to come in. He shouldn't come to our office. And they work under orders. You can't reach their office to claim for anything. Once you're thrown out, you're thrown out. So for my sake, when I got an accident, and remember there are instances whereby I used to tell them, if you're not giving us our work IDs, we are not working. If you're not giving us protective gear, we're not working. And we need to register with the NSSF. That's when they're like, this boy is a bit clever. He's going to make these people know what they're supposed to ask for. So they had these plans. When I reached at the gate, I remember I felt sick for 3 days. When I reached at the gate, I was like, you no longer have work here. See? You no longer have work here.
I began by washing. I was washing for them. Then I have my boss. I think he saw something good. He was like, maybe she can handle kitchen work. He began training me. He trained me. It's called Mr. Q. He was the accountant of the company. He trained me. I learned each and everything. When the construction was almost getting like over, they have their, when it's getting over, they got another contract. That contract was in Rachitura, Kaguta Road. So I was transferred there as a chef. I chefed for them for 3 years in a place called Rugonji. They gave me transfer. Again, I was still chefing for these guys here. That's how I met this man. I was with him, and I conceived. A month ended and I got my salary. And I told them I have some small problem, I have to go home. I'll come back. And I was allowed, I went. Reaching there, I had a lot of problems, this and that and that. I couldn't be back at the right time they expected me.
You're not supposed to miss for 3 consecutive days. See, 1, you don't rest, no offs. Maybe you're supposed to get an off. 1 off, maybe a week, maybe every Friday I'm getting an off. No. Maybe I'm supposed to rest Sunday. No. Maybe in a month twice. No. If you miss for 2 days, you are losing work. Because there's no you're going to claim. You're not their worker. Why am I saying you're not their worker? You don't have a work ID.
That man there, the kitchen man, was like, you cannot work because even you're pregnant now. I said, what is this? He fired me. The Chinese were informed. People who could come and visit me after giving birth, they told the Chinese, you people, Goreti has a baby China. This manager, general manager came. He's called Mr. Zhang. He came, but For us Ugandans, we call him combat man, because he puts on soldier uniform.
I tell you something about these Chinese. They come to Uganda. When they come to Uganda, they're either, I won't say maybe they're either backed up, but they are protected by our government.
He came with the accountant. He gave me 100,000. Accountant also gave me 100,000. Since then, they didn't return. They left. They didn't return. So I stayed there. I was still there suffering. What? Maybe we kept on growing. With problems. I kept on begging around. People even laughed at me. The way I was, this is not me. This is not me.
They first torture you, squeeze you until you get pain and you accept the little money that you are not supposed to get.
I'm dying. And then the company itself. Because I was employed, I worked for them. 11 years I'm working for them, cooking for them, the Chinese, not black people. And then reaching this point, you look at me like I've never been with. I don't know. This is what they've paid me for, cooking for them for all those years. They've paid me by giving me this pain I'm passing through, these tears.
Ekyo kyetagisa okukyuka, ebintu byetagisa aterezebwa kubanga simanyi nti oba Munnayuganda yandisibwa bw'atyo mu ngeri bw'etyo.
My baby is there sick. I even don't have a 50 cent to take him to the hospital. He's very sick.
She's unique in the sense that she managed to spend that many years working for people in circumstances like those, and this should never happen. You cannot fire a woman for doing what's natural, being pregnant, and given the work hours she had to work, it probably makes sense that she ended up meeting a Chinese, because basically those are the only people she was seeing. And then she gets pregnant and they don't even want to take responsibility for that child. They don't want to even allow her keep working so that she can feed that child, which is kind of inhuman. Don't they think their child deserves at least a life where they can eat? Because this is someone who is like among the poorest. They are doing very casual work, which means they live hand to mouth. And now you've sacked them when they have another mouth coming on their way to feed. It's almost not human. And then again, she's not the only one. I mean, there is the case of people, someone like Annette who has and another plaintiff who have gone to court for being fired because they are HIV positive. In Uganda, I mean, that's why Uganda has been highlighted as one of the countries that did well in fighting the HIV pandemic. Stigma like that is just unbelievable. And it's also surprising that you have a health worker agreeing to doing such a thing, testing people so that then handing over the results, because there is supposed to be patient-doctor confidentiality. You're not supposed to give their results to someone else. Let's even assume, for argument's sake, that you got consent from them. The only way you give results to someone else is you give those results to the person, and that person takes it. It's not the doctor's job to give results to someone else. And of course, then it just doesn't make sense that the Chinese would go so far as to fire someone. They are not sick. They are not failing to do their work. You've known that they had been doing their work, but you're like, now that I know they are HIV positive, I do not want to have them work for me. But it's a sensible thing. I mean, if they are sleeping with their workers and getting them pregnant, it makes sense that they would then test them and fire them so that I guess they don't contract HIV, which is also like, because I mean, this is supposed to be a relationship, but if you're going to have sex with your workers and fire them for getting pregnant, then you cut the relationship and therefore resort to that such an inhuman way of dealing with problems in the workplace. It's just not acceptable.
The people who are concerned, like managers, the government should what? Should tell those people, or should teach those people what to do, and to the foreigners that yes, you are constructing what? A factory, but what you have to do is ABCD to make sure that the workers are handled properly and not mistreated.
President tasobola tambula kujja ku kampani nti ajekinga abakozi engeri embeera gye balimu wawula batuma nze bemblaminga tebafaayo muntu owa wansi nti kampani eno tugiyingiddemu naye embeera y'abakozi eri etya.
When they are employing you, one, they'll ask for your name. After recording down your name, they will enter you into their books, and they're like, you're going to start working from here. Remember the place you're going to work from, you don't know how much you're going to earn. See, you don't know whether you have a uniform or you don't have a uniform. You know the type of work you're going to work, but they just place you in a different place. Whether you are qualified for that, whether you're not qualified, whether you're educated, whether you're not, they care less. The only person they value most, the interpreter. There is no work at that Chinese company or any Chinese company that will tell, my dear, I'm going to work at that company, but I'll be earning this money, or I will work for this long. The way you come is the way they take you. If me, I'm earning 7,000 daily, the next time someone comes, will earn 6,000 daily. According to how you come. If you need a job, like, please, I need a job, they can't even give you for that, provided they give you lunch. You eat lunch. For them, they're like, maybe Africans work for food. See?
We don't have a minimum wage for this country. The last one is 6,000, which was 1975, when we last had a minimum wage, which has overtaken by events, the inflation and so forth. And you are right that some of them earn very little money, which cannot really recover and look after their families. But because of an economic situation, the employment situation, they still continue moving, hoping that the situation will improve and they get higher pay.
What you are just supported, you come, you are given 20,000, 50,000, go to the hospital, come back, transport, but you're not supported, maybe at home, maybe your family or anything, you're not compensated. When you are done, it's a gone case, you're done.
I've worked for Chinese companies for over 7 years, but I will deceive you if I tell you that I have any copy of a contract or any appointment letter from the employer. They will just give you a job, they will give you a small card where they will tick the day. Today you have worked, then they say you've worked. If it rains, you haven't worked, so it will not be considered at the end of the month. If you fall sick, you haven't worked.
The casualization of labor or working without appointment letters is a breach of the Employment Act, that an employee should have an appointment letter indicating where he's working and the salary he's going to get and the conditions which he's supposed to get. So it is all prescribed in the Employment Act under the labor laws. But because our worker, which is not an excuse for an employer not to have given an employee, that's a breach of of really the law to provide appointment letters for workers. But also it is part of negligence from the workers and the labor unions, because these workers are unionized to make sure that these unions can fight for their for their rights, because individually they may not fight for their rights.
I think the Chinese, first of all, they don't want organized workforce, because we even approached them, but they were not taking action. They don't want to see workers organized, and that one creates a lot of problems. Now, what we have done of late, we even resorted in taking them to court.